couple of years ago, Turkey wanted to build a grand mosque in the capital of Romania. The idea was to get a plot of land from the government, and then the Turks are going to use their funds in order to erect this project. So the only thing they needed was the approval for the land. However, this was very controversial in my country for two main reasons. Number one is historical. Romania has been under the rule of the Ottoman Empire for hundreds of years, and most people still hold a grudge, especially towards Turkey. The other reason was religious. Romania is a very religious country, unlike most of the secular nations that you have in the West. During communism, Romania was forced to be atheistic to a certain degree, and now people that are free from communism, they want to express their religion as much as possible. As such, you can see the clash between the Orthodox faith and the Islamic one. Now, despite the fact that the government was trying to tell the population that it's a good thing because we're going to get Turkish money and it's good for the economy, most Romanians had none of it. And it got into ridiculous points where you had this guy who wanted to purchase a helicopter just to throw with pig guts on the land where the Great Mosque was supposed to be built. So the people who were in charge of the project on behalf of Turkey, they thought that maybe it's a good idea if the Romanian patriarch of the Orthodox faith would vouch for this project, and then the controversy would die down. Now, what the patriarch said kind of surprised everyone. He said something like, Eastern heathen wants to build place of worship in Bucharest. We get to build place of worship in Ankara. And it was like fair enough, like strengthen the bond between the faiths and, a little bit of quid pro quo. And it took Turkey quite a while until they finally came up with the response, and they said that, yeah, sure, Romania can build a chapel, a Christian chapel in Ankara. To which the Romanian patriarch didn't seem quite pleased. He said something like, is heathen stupid? He wants to build great mosque in Bucharest. What do you mean, little chapel? We want to build a grand cathedral, built with Romanian sweat and Romanian labor, with Romanian money, with great icons of Jesus, with Romanian clergy that's outfitted to save the soul of the Turkish heathen. That's what he wanted. They want to build great mosque, great grand cathedral. And Turkey said no. So the Romanian patriarch said, no? He said no to me? Then I spit on your mosque. Puh. You have place of worship in Constanța. Go pray there. Now, obviously, the back and forth between the Turkish emissaries and the Romanian patriarch didn't go exactly as I worded it, but in essence, in the spirit of the conversation, it was something similar. However, what really caught my eye was the idea of the patriarch talking about a mosque in Constanța. Like, why exactly was he referring to that in particular? And I had to look it up, because it's not something in the history book, it's not something that I have learned about. And as I found out, it is actually a great way to keep extremism in check. I would believe that is one of the reasons Romania had absolutely zero Islamic terrorist attacks on its borders. Like, none whatsoever. So what I did find out is that during the Romanian Independence War, which you people probably know as the Ottoman Empire Turkish War, Romania allied themselves with the Russians in order to gain its independence by fighting the Turks. And they were winning. Now, there is this Romanian place called Dobrogea. And at the time, Dobrogea was the home of a big Islamic community with members who flew the Ottoman Empire. They didn't like the religion there. They thought it's a little bit too extreme. So they went into Dobrogea in order to settle. And as they realized that eventually it's going to be conquered by Romanian forces, they struck a deal with the Romanian king at the time, Carol I. And the deal was that they will get Romanian citizenship. They will be allowed to keep practicing their Islamic faith. However, they will also send regiments and troops in order to help Romania in their fight against the Ottoman Empire. And the Romanian king, Carol I, agreed. They said, you will get Romanian citizenship. However, we will negotiate after the war regarding the practicing of the Islamic faith. So they said yes, and Romania actually had a battalion of Islamic troops, which helped them get their independence at the time. Now, after the war, the discussions started happening, and they did get Romanian citizenship, as well as they were allowed to practice their faith under several conditions. So the way they could practice it is that they would have a mosque that was built in Constanța, the only mosque that was built with the approval of the Romanian government by Romanian people with a Romanian architect. And the way it functioned was that they would also be able to elect a Romanian mufti. So the Islamic community in Romania elects the mufti, but the mufti had to be approved by the king. So what really happens is that they would push several candidates that they wanted, and then the Romanian king would have the last say if the person gets to be allowed or not. And this is how the Islamic community existed in Romania for the last years after the Romanian Independence War. And there were no problems with the Islamic community in Romania ever. As far as I'm aware, there are no cases of hate crimes from the Romanian community towards the Islamic community in Dobrogea, and the Dobrogean Islamic community haven't produced any extremists that would cause terrorist activity either in Romania or somewhere else. And just to show you how the system is working, in April 2007, the Grand Mufti of Romania, Murat Yusuf, he asked the Ministry of Education not to recognize the graduation diplomas for a number of Romanian Muslims who had received theological training in certain institutions located in, among other countries such as Saudi Arabia, Syria, Sudan, Jordan, and Egypt. He justified the measure by arguing that the young men had studied, and I quote, a dangerous radical form of Islam, and contended that they were working in certain foundations assisted by Arab embassies and listed as organizations suspects of producing terrorist propaganda, ones that are kept in focus by Romanian intelligence services. So as you can see, they're working hand in hand with the government in order to make sure that they uphold the prestige of the Romanian Islamic community, because they don't want extremists in their community to cause troubles and then cause the majority of Romanians to have feelings of Islamophobia towards them. So that's a very interesting way. Now, of course, people talk about the issue of separation between church and state. And I'm willing to say that I don't think all religions are equal. Romania is not the United States, so we don't have that in our constitution. But I want to mention that even when you talk about Christianity, it has changed throughout the times in the same place. So, for example, in the past, Christianity used to burn witches, used to stone people, and I'm talking about Europe. I think that they still do the burning of the witches somewhere in Africa, but we're referring specifically to Europe. So in the past, Christianity was in a way, and now it has evolved. So even in the same branch of faith, Christianity, you can see a more radical, more barbaric form, and one that's more enlightened and more progressive for our time. Now, you can compare between different religions, and you can look at the Aztecs, which would pull out the heart of the still beating heart from their sacrifices. That's obviously a far, far more barbaric religion than any we have today on our earth. So religions are different, and they need to be treated differently. You know, I understand if you have a radical form of Christianity that burns witches, that you would want to keep it monitored and keep it under check. In fact, Saudi Arabia has various surveillance and people infiltrating their own mosques in order to make sure that it doesn't produce extremists. Something that doesn't happen in my country regarding our Muslims or our churches. We don't do that. So different faiths have different levels of, how should I say, danger when it comes to them. And I don't find a legal problem or a human rights violation regarding the way Romania operates with Islam in its borders. Now let's talk a little bit about the mosque, because I found it actually quite interesting. It's quite beautiful as well. So the mosque is built in Neo-Egyptian and Neo-Byzantine styles with elements of Neo-Romanesque architecture. The designer was a Romanian, of course, and he modeled the mosque after the Konya Mosque in Turkey. The main portal was constructed using stone from Dobroja, while the door beneath was constructed from black marble inlaid with bronze. The interior columns were constructed from marble from another Romanian city, while the minaret was built with neo-Moorish style and has a height of 47 meters. The dome has a height of 25 meters and a diameter of 8 meters. So it's actually a really beautiful piece of architecture. And after they managed to finish it, the mosque was officially inaugurated by Karol I, and during the ceremony, the Sultan Mehmed V bestowed the Order of the Mejidiyye upon the chief architect, which helped build the construction, and King Karol I also received the watch. So, a lot of people apparently, I understand, want to know the Romanian secret of handling extremism, and as I'm aware, Ukraine is actually talking with the Romanian government in order to find out how they can implement a similar system, which does seem to work. Let me know what you think. Do you think this is a violation of human rights, or do you think that a government does have the authority to do something like this? And if you're a Romanian Muslim, tell me if I got the history right, because as I mentioned, it's not something you learn at school. It's something that I had to do a lot of research in order to uncover most of these historical events. So I'll see you all in the comment sections, and if you want to hear more about me, I'll be doing Let's Plays on my other channel.